also, just wait. Okay. So we'll be recording. Did you all get the notification? I usually hear something. I don't think I got the notification it's recording. Did everyone see that?
Yeah, I saw the notification, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So we will be recording the session. If you don't want to be on camera, please just take off your camera. There is closed captioning available at the bottom. So if you go to, it should be at the bottom, but if it's not, it's on the more options. So, closed captions. So, and also, if I could just ask everybody to mute when they're not speaking, that would be great, just as a courtesy to those that are speaking. Okay. So, like I said, my name is Cheryl Obiakmani. I'm the Program and Partnership Manager at Coding Black Females. Just a little bit about Coding Black Females. We were established in 2017, really just to address the underrepresentation of Black females in the tech industry. We started off as just having some meetup groups as a way of networking, as a way of meeting each other and being noticed. Now we've grown to about 6,000 members across the globe. We have members from the West Indies, from the US. We've got a growing following in West Africa and in East Africa. And obviously in Europe, we have quite a few members in Europe. Our majority of our members are in the UK. So we engage with our members through a variety of things. So we offer training opportunities, networking, training opportunities, mentorship programs, but mainly through the variety of events we have. We're quite busy now. We almost have an event every week. But honestly, these things are mainly supported by our corporate partners and our sponsors, such as the Lego Group. So so we can't do most of the things we do, we can't do without our partners. So we always have to thank them for all their support. So, okay. So that's an introduction about the Coding Black Females. I'm going to pass on to Nicole, who's going to give us a brief introduction about the Lego Group. So I'm going to pass on to Nicole.
Cool. Thank you very much, Cheryl. I'm going to do the thing and share my screen. Share. All right. You should be able to see my slides.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
So hello and welcome to this talk to introduce you to digital technology at the Lego Group. I'm going to go a little bit quick through these slides because there's a fair few, but we just wanted to give you an overview of the Lego Group. When you first think of the company, you think toys, right? How does technology fit into all of that? So that's hopefully what I'm going to cover today. Who we are, what we stand for, kind of the values of our company, and then focusing in on digital technology, and then that will lead us into the day in the life of stories that myself, Nana, and Nupur will be sharing with you today. So who we are. We are a family-owned company founded in 1932, 90 years ago. We had our 90th birthday celebration about 2 weeks ago with a global play day that involved all of our colleagues around the world. It was a lot of fun. Our headquarters are based in a small town called Billund in southwest Denmark. And it's the same town where the company was founded by Ole Kirk Christensen in 1932. In fact, we still have his original workshop. The name Lego is an abbreviation of the two Danish words leg and got. And I have definitely pronounced that wrong because I don't speak Danish, but it means play well. It's our name and it's our ideal. We sell our products in many countries around the world. We have thousands and thousands of colleagues around the world. And we have also built up a great reputation around this brand, and we've become a very influential company around the world. To support all of this, as my slides move on, we have a couple different hubs based around the world. Billund, of course, London, Enfield in the US, Singapore and Shanghai. These are where all of our colleagues in sales or technology or other functions gather and can move around. Apologies for any background noise. This is where we can gather and work together face to face and really help the LEGO Group function as it is. We also have factories to make all of the toys. We have sales offices around the world, and we have 832 brand retail stores around the globe. Now, the important thing is what we stand for. That's what really sets us apart. We created this LEGO idea paper that really captures our North Star, the reason for our existence, and it was written by our owning family. The key elements of the LEGO idea paper have been summarized into the LEGO brand framework. It serves as our guide on how we do business, how we engage with stakeholders, but also how we treat our employees, how we try to engage with the public around what we are building. So I'm going to speed through all of them, but essentially our belief is that children are our role models. They are the masters of play. Our mission is to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. So we want to build that next generation of curiosity, brave, and focus, and really inspire that in the next generation. Our vision is to become a global force for learning through play. There are 5 or so critical values that come up when you're learning through play, and this is what we want to encourage and bring to the world. And to do all of that, we've created the system in play. We've created Lego bricks and a whole way of using them to bring out each of those characteristics that I mentioned. And underlying all of that, we want to inspire each of these values. Whenever you're using our products, whenever you're encountering the Lego brand around the world, we want you to be thinking about engaging your imagination, having fun, being creative, but also caring and learning and prioritizing the quality of what you do. And so we have some promises that we've made and that we all uphold as employees of the Lego Group. I'm going to step through each of these, but I'm mostly going to focus on the people promise. But the first one is play. Our play promise is about creating innovative, engaging, and fun learning through play experiences that provide children and their families with the joy of building and pride of creation. Remember, it's also in our name, LEGOT, play well. Now, the people promise is probably the one that you'll be interested in. This is about how we work together as a team, so we all succeed together. We care deeply for our people who are part of making LEGO play experiences possible. We want to create a great workplace where people can contribute their best. It helps clarify the give and the get of that employee deal and provides a common point of reference for all of our employee engagement activities. Yes. So our goal is to build a diverse organization with a unique sense of belonging to inspire to inspire and develop all builders of tomorrow. And if we truly want the LEGO experience to be for everyone, we also need a diverse workforce to reflect the communities we are part of and the markets we are operating in. In 2020, we announced partnerships with the UN Women and UNICEF to accelerate progress against our diversity and inclusion ambitions. In 2020, we also introduced extended parental leave globally. My slides are moving slow. All right. To help us all succeed together, we've also developed our own internal leadership approach, and we call it the Leadership Playground. It's based on our conviction that leadership is for everyone, not just for people leaders. It was a concept created by a diverse group of LEGO colleagues from across the business that came together to discuss what our approach to leadership should be. And at its core, the Leadership Playground is a network and a safe place where people and communities can connect. To bring the Leadership Playground to life, we emphasize these 3 key behaviors: to be curious, to be focused, and be brave. And we invite you to embrace them too. And on that note, I think Nupur has some reflections that she'd like to share.
Yes, I do indeed. Thank you, Nicole. So I've been with the LEGO Group for roughly 2 years, just short of 2 years. And I found out about the Leadership Playground when I started. And it really struck me as how accurate these values are. So as Nicole said, these are values stated just not for people leaders, but for everyone, because at the LEGO Group, we believe that everyone is a leader and we all have instances in our lives, in our professional lives, in our personal lives, when we need to exhibit one of these values. So it's kind of a mantra to live by. Like if you're, for example, in my day-to-day, if there's a question I don't understand, so for example, I don't know how many people come to lego.com and leave, but I'm very curious about them. So that kind of behavior is very encouraged. So I find out the team and I can ask them a question and they're very, very happy to answer. So that kind of curiosity is very encouraged and valued at the Lego group. The same goes for being brave. I think being brave it sounds so simple, but it comes with so much behind it, right? And I think at the Lego group, we're all encouraged to be brave. If there's a question that you're hesitating to asking, you should ask it. If there's if you're with unknowns and struggling to introduce yourself, you can be brave and introduce, because believe it or not, it usually works out and it leads to something better after being brave. So that's my perspective on the leadership playground. Of course, there's focused as well, but there's not a lot I can talk about because focus is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, the tasks that we focus on, we know when to focus, we know when to restrict it. We know when we have too many projects ongoing, and we need to remind ourselves that we need to focus to be able to deliver them properly. So yeah, that was a little bit about my experience with the leadership playground at the Lego group and what I interpret those values to be in my day-to-day life. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. And the last part that I wanted to touch on today with our people promise is volunteering to play. So as part of being an employee of the Lego group, everyone gets 2 working days to volunteer in your local community engagement program. So we have a local community engagement team in every location around the world, and they are reaching out to foundations within the community that we can volunteer with, that we can run sessions with, that we can go in and bring this system in play to more communities around where we operate. So yeah, that's one of the benefits that we also provide. Some of the other promises that we have are our partner promise. We believe in mutual value creation, both with our partners, both intellectual property or suppliers and all of that. And our planet promise. We want to play our part in building a sustainable future and make a positive impact on society. So we are actively investing in accelerating our environmental and social responsibility initiatives. For example, in 2025, we want to be using sustainable packaging in the majority of our Lego sets. And in 2030, we want to be using sustainable materials in the bricks and the elements that we use. So underlying all of this is the spirit of only the best is good enough. There's a whole story behind it that I don't have time to get into, but I'm sure you can research it and be curious to find out what that is. So from our mission to our promises, from our amazing Lego play experiences, that transitioned much faster than I thought it was going to do. Anyway, we have this whole Lego idea framework that governs how we operate. And yeah, I just wanted to give that essence of the Lego group to all of you. So focusing in on the digital part of the Lego group, the reason that we're here today, we went on a digital transformation back in 2021 to really focus in on leveling up again. We're a 90-year-old company, so we've had to keep being innovative and reinventing ourselves, and this is the latest stage in all of that. I would like to invite Nana to share her perspective on how this digital transformation has affected all of us.
Yeah, lovely to meet everyone. My name is Nana. I've been with the Lego Group for about 6 years. So I've been involved with the transformation even from the very beginning. So when you talk about the Lego Group, it is a very successful toy manufacturing company, and we're also on a journey to become more and more digitalized, because if you can remember, our mission is to inspire and develop the builder of tomorrow. That's just basically the kids, and as well as families and adults, and their passion have been shifting through, of course, of the digital world, and digital itself is also a moving target. And that's why we're sparking on this digital transformation, because we really like to become a digital consumer company. So that is our North Star, our vision, at least for this time of transformation. So there are a few things happened in the digital transformation. We used to come from a very project-driven financing mode. A lot of our engineers was being handled by a task, and you need to build this feature by these deadlines. But we're transforming that into more of a product-based, means that you a lot of the team that's grouping around digital products, and you have a size of the products that's basically 2 pizza size. And you are also being financed through the year. You have a long living stable product team, and you are striving not for the deadlines, but you're actually driving for generating more user values. So that is the starting points. And then there are also things about building engineering cultures. We used to be in a part of delivering deadlines, project management, and this is just doing things fast. But we're also transforming into doing things right, because we cared about how things have been built. We want to have autonomous, empowered engineering teams. The team would be able to make decisions themselves. We push decision to the front line. And you as engineers working together with designers and product managers in the one unit, you have been together to make critical decisions about your products. And that's another shift. On top of this is also things about experiment and learning. We were coming out from this delivery mode that you always have to deliver and utilizing the things you know, but now we're also encouraging engineers to do discovery work, because only through discovering and experiment, and even sometime will fail, then fail fast, and that's how we learn. So this type of culture is what we are trying to establish within the LEGO Group. Together with the transformation, there are also a massive amount of opportunities to be able to what we call upskilling and reskilling. So we also have engineers that are curious. Maybe you're a backend engineer, but you're quite curious about becoming a data engineer, and you have this opportunity to also shifting your gears and also to learn by doing, also to be paid to go to upscaling camps to do the things that you really like. Because I really wanted to build our engineering muscles and our engineering energies, and as being motivated so that all of the engineers will have a voice in the organization, and will care about building things right in the right way. We care about best practices, and we're promoting all of this as part of the culture.
Thank you very much, Nana. So with all of that in mind, with that pivot towards value creation as opposed to projects and deadlines, we have a couple different locations for digital technology around the world. Billund, of course, is our headquarters and is our biggest office for digital and engineers. Copenhagen is actually, I think it's our newest office that we're just starting up now. London, Enfield, and Shanghai are fairly well-established technology hubs for the LEGO Group as well. So if you're in one of these areas, then look out for us, have a look at what openings we have. Now, going back to what I said right at the start, when you think of the LEGO Group, you think of a toy company. So how does technology fit into that? We have a map of 10 domains internally, but they largely fall into these categories. Technology that enables our factories and supply chain. So think IoT, think warehousing, think inventory, all of that kind of fits in a couple different teams that look after that kind of technology. We then also have technology that supports how we get our products to consumers, whether that's direct to customer or business to business. So I'm thinking LEGO brand retail stores, consumer services teams, the lego.com website, and then our B2B web shop that sells on through Amazon, Walmart, all of the partners that we have. We then also have technology embedded into our products, things like Spike Prime, our Super Mario sets, anything that has interaction with a mobile app, we have teams that are building that internally as well. And then there's our core functions. There's the technology enablement teams like our core infrastructure team, security team, developer experience, even our centralized data office that harness all of that big data that is coming in from all of our different functions and trying to create valuable insights to drive more value creation in the other teams. And then there's also our corporate functions like finance and HR systems. So there is a lot of technology happening within the Lego group, and we're trying to build this engineering culture that Nana laid out for you just before. So,
yeah, so if I could just chip in here as well, if you ask for our Chief Digital Transformation Officer, and basically he will say that there are 4 main group the digital technology department is going to serve for. That is consumer, who is basically have experience with us, and the shopper who is buying from us, and the partner who is doing business with us, and also the colleague who is actually working for us. So basically all of those digital products is serving those 4 main target audience, we can say. And another thing he normally say is around value flow and quality. So that is also at a high level how he expecting the digital technology parts as a product team, how that will function. So you are generating user values, business values, and you have flow in your engineering team. So you have task float on whatever cadence you have, a 2-week sprint or Kanban or 1-week sprint. And also you have the quality products. Because as an engineer, we strive for quality. We strive for how things have been built. We want to really strengthen that. So those are the things that would be our guiding star when we're talking about digital technology in the Lego group.
Awesome, thanks for that. That was really good, calling out kind of the core stakeholders or consumers that we have. But that was our last slide. So where can you find us after this? You can follow us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Twitter with these different handles, and check out the lego.com website to find our open positions. And with that, I'll hand back to Cheryl. Oh, I think you're on mute. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you very much, Nicole. So yeah, so let me just go back to my slides, if that's okay. Now, okay, you can hear me. All right, thank you very much, Nicole. So yeah, so we just go into the next section of the event, and it's just hearing about a day in the life of our guests, really, as engineers at the Lego group, as not just female engineers, but just engineers in general, as the Lego group. So I'm gonna first person that's gonna speak will be Nupur. And sorry if I got your name wrong again. So I do apologize. Yeah, so Nupur is a lead engineer and works on one of the teams that builds new features at lego.com. Like you can see here, she has a background in computer science, and she's been working in JavaScript and front-end frameworks. So I'll hand it over to you, Nupur. Just tell us about a day in the life of a lead engineer within the Lego group.
Sure. Very happy to. So hi everyone, my name is Nupur. As Cheryl mentioned, as I mentioned before, I've been with the Lego group for almost about 2 years. So I'm one of the pandemic hires. So I was hired in 2020. What a day in the life of a lead engineer looks like? That's a very, very interesting question, and something that needed to give a lot of thought to when I came up with an answer. So the lead engineer role, at the core of it, is an engineering role. I'm very hands-on with a few leadership responsibilities. So as Nana and Nicole mentioned, we went through this digital transformation journey, which meant that we now work in product teams. These product teams are completely cross-functional. So we have individual product teams that have front-end engineers, back-end engineers. Most of us are full-stack engineers at the Lego group. We have QA engineers, we have product managers, designers. So we work in a cross-functional team. So I lead one of those teams, which develops engaging experiences on Lego.com. So our official name is the Engagement Experience Team. So if you've been on Lego.com or have seen our latest 90th anniversary campaign, because as Nicole mentioned, we recently completed 90 years at the Lego group, and to celebrate that, we we created a kind of a quiz which will determine what kind of Lego brick are you based on the answers to some questions that you will give. It's a really fun interactive quiz, so I highly recommend you try it out. So experiences like that are what my team builds. My team is very much front-end focused, which aligns with my skills because for the last 10 years, I've been working with JavaScript for mostly on the front end, but also did a lot of back end since I joined the Lego group. So that's a bit of what I do. I'd like to go a bit more in detail. So as a lead engineer, I do work on technical problems, but more on a high level. So for example, these days I'm learning a lot about and working on how to improve web performance of Lego.com, because that's something that's crucial to our business and also to my team, which is heavily front-end focused. So our work is actually rendered on the browser, and we want to make sure that we give the best experience to the user. So I'm spending a lot of time learning about that and thinking of ways to improve it. So, but it's not directly developing a new feature. If I have time and if I have, if my team needs me, I can jump on any feature at any time, which is sometimes what I do as well. For example, at the beginning of the year, we redesigned our articles page, and that was something I actively worked on. So it's a bit of feature development, a bit of high level stuff, and also leading the team, as in providing technical leadership, identifying blockers firsthand, making sure everything runs smoothly. So all of that is kind of a package that comes in with being a lead engineer. I have done some people leadership in the past, but not in this role. So I don't actively manage people, but I do work with people on a daily basis. So there is some of that involved as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I also help out with recruitment. That's a bit about a day in my life. So looking forward to questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Or we can wait till the end to ask questions. But thank you very much for that. I'm going to hand next up to Nicole. So Nicole is a senior engineering manager and works as she's been working with you've been working in infrastructure and DevOps engineering for 5 years. Would you like to jump in and let us know about a day in the life of a senior engineering manager at the Lego Group?
Sure, I sure can. So I'm a senior engineering manager in Unified Commerce in MCT, and I can explain what each of those means. But essentially, an engineering manager in the Lego Group has 2 core responsibilities: technology leadership and moving your product forward from an engineering point of view, and then also people leadership responsibilities, so helping others grow in their careers and find where they want to be as they look for the opportunities in the team that they're in. So I started at the Lego Group back in 2019. I've only been here 3 years, and I started as a senior infrastructure engineer. So my background is entirely in AWS, hosting, DevOps, all of those buzzwords. That's what I was doing before. And that's what I started doing at the Lego Group. So in MCT, in Unified Commerce, we look after Lego.com and specifically the e-commerce part of Lego.com. So if you're browsing for products, adding to bag, going to the My Account space, checking out, that's what the teams that I work with look after. And I specifically look after the hosting of that platform, along with the DevOps, the security, all of that. So yeah, my background is in mostly making sure that we're bringing in new features so that the site is more stable. It's able to handle all of the traffic, especially the spikes in e-commerce. Whenever we have a product launch or anything like that, we have a lot of people come onto the site all at the same time. And that spike is the hardest part to deal with when you're talking about infrastructure. And so that's what the 3 years that I've been here have mostly been focused on. How do we handle that spike so that everyone still gets their Lego sets when they want them and the site stays up and available? The other side of engineering management is people leadership. So 2 years ago, I made the decision to apply for an engineering manager role that opened up within the team that I was in. I had only had a very small amount of people leadership experience before joining the Lego Group, but I felt like it was a good decision to go and broaden the opportunities that I had, and a good learning opportunity. So I was curious to find out, what is it like to really be a people leader, to really talk to engineers and grow them in their careers. And so that's what I did. So now I've been a people leader for 2 years of the 3 years that I've been at the Lego Group. And it's mostly having one-to-ones with engineers. We catch up every 2 weeks. And we're either talking about where they want to be, any support that I can give them, any opportunities that I've seen that would be perfect for them, and really talking about how they can improve and get to where they want to go. I also get involved with recruitment. So we're growing the right mix of skill sets, the right mindsets for that engineering culture that we're trying to build at the Lego Group. And underlying all of that across both the technical side and the people leadership side is team dynamics, making sure that we're creating product teams that have that flow, that have that cohesiveness, that maybe they're storming at the moment, but they'll get through to forming. That kind of thing is what I really enjoy. So yeah, that's kind of a day in the life of a senior engineering manager, and specifically for me, handling all of the spikes whenever we launch a new product. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds very interesting. I think we'll talk a bit more about, the culture and the recruitment process, because I'm sure lots of people would be interested in how to get a role within the Lego Group, and how best to fit into the culture of the Lego Group. Okay, thank you. So next up is Nana Lin, and she's an engineering director at the Lego Group. And I believe you're responsible for the consumer and shopper facing bits of Lego account. So Nana, would you like to tell us what a day in the life of your...
Yes, I'll basically starting with introduction of myself. I have actually been with the Lego Group for about 6 years, and I started as a team lead. What our team was doing, they were doing a lot of mobile apps and also website for kids facing experiences. And then I have been moved on to doing some of the, you can call fluffy strategy work, and some of the business prototype ideas, fast prototyping and all of those. And then eventually I landed with the current role as a engineering director, looking after our consumer and shopper facing identity management system, aka Lego Account. And currently we do have a global user base of 40 million people in our account system. And dealing with spikes is also one of the things we're doing together with the shop part, because when there's a new product launch, we also see spikes in people logging in and creating accounts. So that is basically what I was doing. A lot of things regarding to the hosting as well, because in our team we do a lot of things as a end-to-end responsibility. So our engineering is looking at not only the new features, but also how to set up an infrastructure and CI/CDs, all of those practices. So AWS is definitely one of our key competencies. On the other side, we are basically, although we have a front end, that is when you sign up and sign in, you have a user interface. But we are mainly backend driven. So the Lego account experience is very much integrated with, for example, shops and our digital building instructions like apps and games. We have been utilized by a lot of clients from inside, outside the Lego Group, used to attracting both kids and adults, families to be able to sign in into the Lego account, and hence to the Lego connected ecosystem. So we were like the gateway of the ecosystem. So that's part of the products. And with a day into my day in the Lego Group, it is basically a lot with recruitment, because recently we have been really scaling up the organization, and we're building our digital muscle. So we're recruiting a lot of engineers. So I'm recruiting for teams both in Copenhagen as well as in Billund. And also, so coming to the office the first day, I will check that basically, do I get new applications to some of the positions we're hiring? And another thing I would definitely do is we have some of the dashboard to looking at whether there was been any issues with our key applications during last night, and we will have some key indicators. That's one thing. The other part is looking at how many new accounts we got yesterday. Do we have any spikes, basically, any issues during the night? So we have a high-level dashboard to reflecting both on the product metrics as well as the application performance levels. And normally I would also be talking with the product side, so meaning the business side, and we're doing a lot of things regarding to OKRs recently. Don't know if you're familiar with the OKR processes, and that's basically a way that the business and us could be combined to help set the objectives every quarter, and the team will come with something called a key result. So that is coming with measurable key results for them to be able to reach those objectives. So it is actually a way for us to basically stop telling us what feature we need to build, but telling us what problem we need to solve instead. So have the business more focusing on the objective of solving user problems or business problem, and leaving the space for the engineers to be able to be creative and think outside the box and coming with the key results. And we are striving for those key results every quarter. And sometimes I'm also solving cross-team issues. I have 3 teams, so we are also building distributed architectures. Sometimes there could be issues across, although we're trying to very much inspired by domain-driven design, which is a high-level architecture that we are implementing within our subdomain. So the purpose of that is to giving each of the product team a focus, but also at the same time a bounded context. So you have a clear boundaries between teams. So to a large extent, you clarify those data contracts and you reduce dependencies. But still, there are some things across team that we need to looking at, for example, across team instrumentabilities, and also how we'd be able to trace issues from one team to another. Because from the outside, when you look at legal account, is one thing, one experience, but inside you can see there are different components have to be talking to each other in real time. So that's basically where interestingly, we do not really have an architect role within the team. We used to have that. We used to have a team of architect that's sitting outside the team and deciding on what the team's supposed to build. But we don't have that anymore, because we believe engineers are the ones, or developers are the ones that are very close to a solution, and you are also the one that should be very close to the design of the solutions. So we're pushing very much to this architecture decisions also to teams. So normally we have got a lot of GitHub discussions. So that's something that I will also browse through, giving my input. And in our subdomain, is not, I have the title of director, but I don't really decide. So basically, it's a team joint efforts, and to really thinking about the trade-off of architecture, the good part of it, and also the bad part of it, and we'll talk it through, and we'll make basically a consent-driven decision in our side. So yeah, so that's basically about me, and my day is normally a bit back-to-back meetings and with recruitment and interviews in between. So yeah, that's my part.
Lovely, thank you, Nana. Yeah, it looks like we've actually already got some questions going. But thank you to the panelists for just giving us a brief day in the life of themselves. If you do have any questions, please write your message in the chat or raise your hand, and we can ask the panelists to answer. Okay. We have a question from Jean-Jacques, and it's at Nina. Which advice could you give to some women in tech who, when they fail, they quit? You said somewhere that even if you fail, you learn, and that's at Nina. Was it Nana? Sorry, Nana.
I guess that's for me.
Yes,
Yes, I will just chip in and feel free to add on, Nico and Nicole, when you have some other perspective from, because we're sitting in different organizations, it could also vary a bit, but I generally think it's a similar approach. So I think we're very much focusing on building psychological safety in the Lego group. So basically, it's about having a growth mindset. A lot of us is, in the past, we were debating on whether you should have a fixed mindset or you should have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is basically believe that you have a born talents and you were utilizing or navigating your life with those talents. But actually in the Lego group, I think we are trying to build something else that is with a growth mindset, meaning that you learn and you learn by doing and you learn by failing. And if you fail, you want to fail fast. So that's how you also learn fast. So I think that's one thing, one side of things. The other part is also, trying to share things and voicing out your opinions. You have this psychological safety, and you will be openly disagree with people and putting your opinions out there, but not with the purpose of kind of proving you are right, but also trying to get different opinions across, so that you will be able to see different perspectives about solving problems. It's all about problem solving, basically. So, but each of us might come with different approach, but talk it out and trying to be, trying to put yourself out there and engage with others, be brave, and also be curious. I think that is the main thing.
I think one thing I could add to that is try and keep perspective as well. Like for example, in the Lego group, we're just selling plastic bricks. It's when you say fail, what do you really mean by fail? Did you not manage to get a ticket in? Was there really a deadline there? So reframing when you say fail to be, okay, maybe I didn't meet this, but what can I do next time? So that's the growth mindset that Nana was talking to. So yeah, perspective is the one thing I would add to that.
Yep, I totally agree. I've realized having perspective really helps. And if you think about it, is there anyone in the world who hasn't failed at something? I mean, it depends how you take it. If you take it as a failure, if you take it as a learning, it's all about how you think. It's all about the mindset, as Nana and Nicole said. Everyone fails at something, or they think they learned something. Fun fact: I failed at running. I tried to run for a few years because of peer pressure and because it was cool to run, but I learned that I actually hate running. I do not like running at all. So is it a failure of me running, or just a learning that I absolutely do not like to run? So I'm more self-aware now.
Thank you for that. I'm one of those that doesn't like jogging. I can walk forever, but don't ask me to run or jog. Caroline has her hand up. Caroline, are you happy to unmute and ask your question?
Sam, thank you. So hey everyone, once again, thank you all for taking your time out and actually speaking to us about your roles in the organization Lego. I found it very insightful. So just some background about myself. So I'm currently working in the mental health field, and I'm currently self-teaching myself computer science using online courses. But I would really like to become a software engineer and work with Lego if possible. But I don't have any experience or official qualifications. And I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind providing me with some advice on how to become a software engineer, and also provide some insight on things that has essentially helped you in your journey to your current job roles. I know that was a lot.
Maybe okay. Yeah,
go ahead.
Nicole.
Okay, I was starting. And Caroline is a big sum up, and I think for your passion to become a software engineer, and it's not. I mean, you didn't really take the training, or but now you are striving for doing it, that you really want to become an engineer, I think definitely this is something from yourself, and you're motivated to do that. So I think this is extremely encouraging, basically. And I'm just reflecting on some of the best engineers on my team, and actually there are few that they are self-learned engineers. I think what has actually driven them is that the passion for building something, to be able to code and to be able to get better at coding. So basically, I think for you, you should keep doing that, and potentially we have also a lot of opportunities, for example, for internship as well as junior engineers position to start with. Maybe that is somewhere that you could get yourself in the door and start to keep enriching your experience, and then eventually you will find out where you are passionate in that areas of engineer. It might be a security engineer or data engineer, backend engineer, front-end engineer, DevOps. There are also different parts of specialties you could develop yourself into. So for me, I just feel that there's a lot of opportunities, but the most important is your motivation. And you like to go along the path, and you will stick to it.
Did you want to add something, Nupur, or can I jump in?
Right. I think Nana already covered what I was going to say, which was at the Lego Group, we do have a few people who are career changers in my team, in Nicole's team. So we work with lots of people who found their passion, or who wanted to switch skill set because they just found it more interesting. So yeah, I think it's totally okay to do that. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the only one thing I wanted to add was start finding those networks where you can talk tech with other people. Because one thing that we find in interviews is that you need to have that ability to explain, your thought process, how you work through problems and things like that. So finding opportunities to talk about technical problems, like something that you've run into with that front-end framework, or you just can't figure out how to integrate these two APIs. Working on that kind of verbal skill set, it not only helps you when you're in the role being able to ask for help and collaborate with others, but it means that in the interview process, you'll be able to talk through a lot of the questions better. It doesn't matter whether you've gone through a university course or a boot camp or self-taught. It's really about how you can communicate when you need help, what you've tried, and all of that. So yeah, find some networks that you can talk tech in.
Thank you, everyone.
No way.
Great, thank you. So some more questions. Apologies, I had them written down somewhere. So May F asks, what are the top skills someone in a junior engineering position would need the most in order to be successful in their role? So what are the top skills a junior engineering position would need to be successful in their role? That wasn't really aimed at anyone, so feel free to all jump in or answer.
I think Nicole already gave a very good example of that. She made a very, very good point about learning how to express yourself, learning how to talk tech, learning how to explain how you're thinking through problems, because that's such a valuable skill to have. Other than that, what I would add is the right attitude. And I know that sounds very vague, but when I say the right attitude, but what I mean is a desire to learn things, to not be afraid of making mistakes, because that's the culture we actually encourage, that everyone is allowed to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and you know how to fix them. Getting things done, like an attitude of getting things done, that you're here to learn. Of course you are. All of us are learning on the job. I'm learning about web performance right now, but a part of our job is also that desire and that push to get things done, because trust me, it's just so satisfying to see your work that you've coded to be live and see people using it. So I would say the right attitude, which consists of all of these, is one of the top skills we look for when we hire associate engineers.
And Nana also listed a bunch of different specialities you can have within technology or within engineering, right? So there's front end, back end, DevOps, infra. There's a lot. So while there will be specific, technical skills that you'll need depending on which role you're trying to go for. That's why we're focusing on those kind of transferable skills that go across whatever specialization you're aiming for. Also, if you're having a look at the roles that are available with us, we list them as associate engineering as opposed to junior engineering to avoid any of the context that you're in any way lower than anyone else. For example, I'm a senior engineering manager, but I'm kind of an associate front-end engineer as well because I'm currently learning how to do React engineering. So yeah, there's always scope to learn more.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So Laurel, I think they did say they did answer this. She's asked if there are any job opportunities or internships for junior front-end engineers. So I think, and also I believe someone has shared all your positions in the chat, but if anyone can just answer that. If it's just a simple yes or no, just going to visit the website or something.
Yes, I posted a link further up in the chat that I can post again if that helps. But that has all of the listings for digital technology in the LEGO Group across all of our different locations. So use the filters to filter for the country or location you're looking for. And yeah, as I mentioned, we use associate engineers as opposed to junior engineers.
Okay. And thank you. That's wonderful. Someone has said, just ask if there are any specific courses that did you all study, or any other kind of courses that you would suggest that somebody should take that can help. Or I know someone's mentioned React and also JavaScript, but is there any other kind of is there software that you would suggest that people to learn?
I think that's a little bit vary from products to
vague.
products. Yes. For example, in my area and what we are looking at, our tech stack basically is based on AWS, Amazon Web Services. And we're using C# as our main language, programming language. And we're also looking at some of the open source solutions as identity server to building our account system. We have also very much looking at web security best practices, because when you have a account system, you need to secure them. Yeah, basically that's some of the top things that my team is using. Of course, there on top of this, there will be infrastructure setup, CI/CD, instrumental, Elasticsearch. That's what we're using. So there is, I guess, there will be different perspectives based on. Would be just turn this question around. Which one would you be interested in, and then maybe shaping yourself in that part. Because I always think in this world, you as an engineer, you will always be able to find a job, but it's more about which part really you're passionate about.
Thank you, Nana. I hope that answers the questions. Any particular degrees or in that respect, like I feel like not everyone has to do computer science, I guess, I've been told, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't really focus on where you've come from or where you've gotten your skills. It's more about how you, as we said, how you can explain yourself in technical terms, the approach that you have and the mindset that you have to solving problems, and also that growth mindset is mainly what we look for, because once you've got those, you can pick up anything really. So yeah, for Nopura and myself's team, we look at React, GraphQL, Apollo GraphQL, Node.js. We use a lot of JavaScript in our products. So yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Hope that's answered the question. Maya, you have your hand up. Sorry.
I think I just want to build on some of the things as well, because I think, Nicole, you also said that you applied for a role, you did go for what you really wanted to, and I think that's also really spark into who we are. We we want people to develop in the roles. And if you think that's, yeah, you start maybe as an associate engineer, but then you are getting inspired in another area, and then you see to that area, that we are really open for people to develop internally as well. And not just see you as like a resource, but like as a human being that needs to develop, to continuing being curious yourself and to be brave and focus in the work that you're doing. So that is also something that we are encouraging people to do, keep developing themselves. And then there was also a question about the recruitment process and how you can say the three of you defined the recruitment process. And I think in general, and I would like is the three of you to look into that, but in general, we are having like 3 rounds interview. So a light first interview with the recruiters, and then the next interview meeting with the hiring leaders and talking a little bit more into sort of the skills. And then the final interview is more like often a case study where you will get a little bit of an assignment that you will need then to prepare and then walk through. So it's 3 rounds. So hopefully you are getting then also to meet a lot of different people that each have a different background or share some diversity in either thoughts or skills or whatever sort of diversity that we can pull together. But I think if the 3 of you maybe just can talk a little bit about how you define the interview process, I think that'd be quite great.
Yeah, I think you basically nailed it, Maya. It's a 3-round interview process, as Maya just said. For our teams, for mine and Nicole's teams, it's a chat. The first round is a chat with the recruiter, where they ask you about your background and do an initial assessment of how you would fit in with the team. The second round is a technical interview with one of the hiring manager or one of the engineering managers and one senior or lead engineer. So Nicole and I are often, very often, in the panels as well because of the roles that we have. We usually in that round we try to gauge the technical skill set of the candidate and try to gauge their experience, how much they know about something, how much they don't. We mostly stick to like a rough baseline question, so that we can judge everyone at the same scale, and there's not too much deviation. And I think it works really well compared to other places where I worked at before. And then, as Maya said, the last round is a take-home assignment, which is the same or slightly different based on the role that you're applying for, like if you're more front-end focused or more back-end focused. And then you have some time to complete that assessment in your own time. And then in the last round, you actually take us through it, or the candidate actually takes us through it, what they did, how they approached it, how they solved all of the problems that were in the assignment. And yes, there's just a few more fit questions. Did I miss anything, Nicole?
No, that was everything. And be aware it's not a pass or fail type thing, right? The questions are there to figure out where your knowledge areas are, where you are confident in, but also where you have gaps. And then we factor that in as to, okay, if we go with this candidate, they'll need to level up in these areas. So it's not something where you want to aim for 100%, but you want to just be who you are, so that we can gauge on, where we'll need to support you or develop you if you do get the role.
We're getting some thumbs up, so I think you guys answered the question very well. Thank you. So Maya said you can also follow our digital technology group on LinkedIn, and she shared that in the chat. Thank you for that. Okay. I have some questions, just as just general as female engineers. Have you guys experienced any challenges? I'm not saying in the LEGO group, but in your careers, and any challenges or any I'm going to say difficulties, but just any experiences you would like to share as females in the engineering field.
Yeah, I can share a bit. I think at the starting points, since I was in school, I've got to learn that being a female engineer, software engineer, means that you are on the minority side. Normally, there was, I think in my class, there was only 10% that was female, and most likely the rest are guys. So when I come to the workplace, I think in the Lego group, where, correct me if I'm wrong, Maya, I think it's where somewhere around 20-some% in the female engineer side, but still the majority are guys. And I think I was sometime could be in the past that be afraid of tell my opinions, because sometimes guys could basically just come in and having a strong opinions, and this is how we do it, and let's go. So this type of behaviors. But I think over the years, I've learned that being brave and putting yourself out there, and sometimes asking those questions is not stupid. Sometimes you will find out that people haven't really thought about it. So just be brave and engage with the rest. And I think that's the most important. Make yourself visible in the organization. That's what I actually learned from our peers, the guy peers, and they also always striving for the opportunities. And why can't we also get a seat at the table and put your hands up when you are not 100% certain about what you can do about it, but still put your hands up and take the opportunities and just be brave, and that will leading you to somewhere else. Basically, that's my learning.
Yeah, I guess from my side also, yeah, always been in the minority side of the class. I went through engineering as my university degree, so maybe 20% of the class were female. I definitely have survived that by being quite competitive. So I do like to prove all the guys wrong, which is quite satisfying. But it also leads to a lot of imposter syndrome, because it's like, well, maybe I'm competitive, but am I competitive because I'm bowling them over, or is it because I'm actually right? So that's a common thread I've taught to a lot of females in the technical industry, and they all seem to come back to that of, are we really meant to be here? And it's a really weird phenomenon, but I think the more we talk about it, the closer we'll get to figuring out where that stems from. So yeah, if you don't feel like you belong, don't feel like you're the only one. And there's probably guys out there as well who feel the same, they just don't talk about it as much. So yeah, be brave, talk about how you feel with others, find good mentors, find good support networks is where I can, yeah, that's the only advice I can really give.
I don't have a lot more to add, because my experiences are very similar to Nana's and Nicole's as well. I've being in a minority for most of the jobs that I've worked at, also at uni, and struggling with imposter syndrome, especially when receiving a promotion. So I've received, like, over the years, I've been promoted many times in different jobs, and every single time I've questioned myself, did I really deserve that actually? But the right answer was always yes. I mean, I worked hard. Somebody saw something. It was not just me, and I always earned that promotion. That did not stop me from questioning myself. So yeah, I think it's getting better with age though. So there's some benefits to getting old, I suppose.
I just have a question. Sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, someone has asked, are there any organizations that offer one-to-one mentorship? I'm going to possibly, do you guys offer one-to-one mentorship?
Yeah. It's, I don't know if we'd call it an offering, Nicole. We do have a program in place within MCT, which is our department, which is kind of a mentoring program where mentors and mentees can sign up. And it's more of a free form thing than a more formal thing, because all mentor-mentee pairs are free to choose how they would like to do it. But we do offer that. If you're somebody who's looking for a mentor, you can add your name to the sheet that we have and try, or go through the list of sheet where mentors have signed up and pick someone whose background matches with what you want or your ambition, things like that. I personally have 2 mentees in the Lego group right now.
Yeah, I think for those who I guess aren't internal to the Lego group, you can always reach out to people on LinkedIn. So I've had 1 or 2 people reach out to me on LinkedIn to ask if I could have a coffee chat with them and see if there was something more that I could offer to them to see where, you know, where they were going. So I'm sure there are organizations out there that connect like-minded people or mentor those trying to level up within the IT industry. But yeah, you can always reach out to people on LinkedIn, go to one of these panel talks and reach out to one of us after to see if, you know, we can sit down and have a chat. That's often a good starting point that I've seen others succeed with.
So at Coding Black Females, we do offer mentorship programs, and we do one with either partners, or we do an internal CBF community members mentoring each other. So we usually have one every quarter. So look out for that in our on the member zone. And what you can do, you can register interest for all the mentorship programs. So whether or not it's going to be one that's internal, well, I would say internal within the community, or it is one that we work with our community, our corporate partners, such as Lego Group or Monzo or some of our other partners. So there are mentorship opportunities that we offer. But I really do like that we can just reach out to somebody on LinkedIn as well and see if they can mentor and just have a chat. I think that's always a good way to find out about, you know, the avenues for you, or, you know, finding a bit more about the organization themselves as well. That's great. Thank you. Just the final one from me, and it's just a question I always ask all the panelists, and just say if there was one advice you would give to your younger self, what would that be? Looking back at your career. And if you don't mind if I start with Nicole, just because you're on my screen.
Sure. One of the things that I always tell others is start before you're ready. No one is ever ready for anything. And if you wait until you are ready, the opportunities passed you by. So start before you're ready. Say yes to stuff and regret it later, but at least you tried.
Then I like that. Because I've been putting off something forever. I think I just need to start now. Nana, is there anything you'd like to?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think I would tell my younger version self that I think life is experience, and just always striving for it. Be brave and to do things you want to, because life is too short to waste. There's no time for hesitation. Just go for it.
Great. And Nupa?
Yep. I think mine is don't be afraid to speak up and stand for what you think is right. I think that there have been countless situations in previous roles and previous jobs where I knew in my heart that I had the right point to make, but I was too afraid to speak up, or and yeah, that's the only advice I would give. Like, don't be afraid to speak up, because what you're thinking is completely valid and there are no stupid questions.
That's great. Thank you. Somebody just had to quickly drop the question in there. I come from an art design background and have run a child care business. Can these skills be transferable into programming into Lego? Don't know who wants to answer that.
I actually got a case for that. Not exactly as running a childcare business, but I do have actually a designer, and she was very much into coding. So she have been part of our rebooting rescaling bootcamp. So basically, she have transferred herself from a designer into more of a front end programmer. So now she could be able to combine both her artist eye and the experience, but she could also basically make it just a reality by herself. So I definitely think, Claire, you have some of the potential there as well. If basically having been strived for user experience and for feeding a user need, that is something that passionate you, go for it. And there is potentially some of the front end experience you can programming experience that you can start with.
Great, thank you, Nana. Hope that's answered your question, Claire. Are there any more other questions quickly that we wanted to just feel free to put your hand up as well, and or come off mute and just ask. Okay, I don't think there, am I missing? No, that's it. Great. So I just wanted to, just want to say thank you so much to our panelists for taking the time to just talk to us today and joining us. And thank you to the LEGO Group in general for sponsoring the event and making it possible. If you don't mind, I just put in the chat a quick questionnaire about about the event and just get some feedback from people. Feel free to click on it and complete it in your own time. But I think that's all. And feel free to follow Coding Black Females on our socials, on our LinkedIn or our Instagram. And that can keep you up to date with all our upcoming events and other opportunities. But once again, just thank you to our panelists, to Nicole, to Nana, to Nupur, and to the LEGO Group for sharing and for taking part in this event.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I hope everybody was inspired and, really got as much information as they wanted from the event. Thank you. I'm seeing lots of thank yous in the chat. Really insightful. I think everybody had a really good time. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be here for a bit longer to answer any questions on Coding Black Females if anybody has anything. Otherwise, yes, feel free to say goodnight and bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Have a great evening, guys.
Bye.
Bye. No, just stop the recording.